Hello, I'm the Toycat, and every action has an equal opposite reaction, and an example of this would be how Minecraft tried to make diamonds harder to find in the 1.18 update, and yet now they are easier than ever if you know what you're doing. Another example would be the fact that they made the terrain much higher, which makes it a little bit harder to climb, but makes it much easier to game in terms of using a water bucket, because now a single water bucket can create thousands and thousands and thousands of water little particles, which is nice by itself, but also this means you can use it to farm a whole ton of snow should you want to, and this can be applied to the meadow biome, which is of course a wonderful biome where you're meant to go around and pick up flowers because it's covered in flowers. It's really interesting, it's really nice, and you know, I have opinions on how it looks, but I'm sure you do too. But here's the wonderful thing: a single water bucket placed in the right place right here will create you thousands of flowers. For real, again, the thousands of water blocks will go down the biome and they will create more and more flowers, and if that doesn't work perfectly, you just place another one, and then slowly you'll notice over and over again, it will split, it will form, it will split, it will form, and it will knock so many flowers onto the ground, and all you have to do to pick them up is either leave the water there for them to flow all the way down to the bottom of the mountain, or you can pick them up manually. It's really quite staggering just how much blue dye you can get your hands on right here, or how much white dye you can get your hands on, or get this, you combine the two dyes together, and now you've got light blue dye as an example. There are so many dyes that are much easier to obtain as a result of this meadow biome, even easier than Minecraft probably thought. I mean, it's nuts to look at. Okay, so just those 3 water buckets alone, it's not the thousands I promised, but we did get 25 azure bluets, 15 cornflowers, and a very confused wolf puppy that just wants to go this way but is not able to. But yeah, it's very fun in my opinion, just how much more powerful water is as a result of this update. And so keep in mind, water bucket, even more OP in terms of what it can produce. This is because water can only flow for 8 blocks in every direction, which means before this update, when the world was much flatter, you would get this amount of water from one bucket, which is still impressive and can produce a surprising number of flowers, but do this close to a ledge, which is close to another ledge, which is close to another ledge, and the water will continuously fall off and fall off and fall off and fall off over and over and over again, creating an entire mountain covered in water effectively, which I think is just something to behold. Now, donkeys themselves, found in these meadow biomes, are much easier to get your hands on, which means the meta is going to heavily favor... Oh, wow, that's weird. The meta is going to heavily favor, you know, the mule in a way that we haven't seen in a while. And so, yeah, do you want to get your hands on some storage that follows you around? You're going to need it, given the number of blocks in this update. One of my biggest complaints in Minecraft always has been the fact that donkeys are so rare. They make up just 10% of horse spawns. Despite that, though, they have lots of important attributes, including the health, the jump speed, etc. But then on top of that, there is a chance that it will have very few actual, you know, like slots for the items. We got all 15 on this one. But like being able to have just a second donkey and saying, yeah, I'm done with you, donkey. You don't have enough chest slots for me. And then moving on to the next one is a really cool idea if you're a monster and you like to slay donkeys. But you know, who doesn't love to slay donkeys? I slay that arse every day, is a way to put that. So another very much intended use of the meadow biome was going to be that there are rabbits here in a way that there aren't in many other biomes. It was going to be a really handy place to find rabbits, and obviously when you kill rabbits, you can get rabbit leather. However, because they didn't make rabbit leather useful in this update, the bundle is delayed till 1.20 or beyond, that means that now there is an easier way to get an item that isn't very useful otherwise, and so this is almost like the reverse unintended use. They were going to give it an intended use, and then they didn't. Whereas something that I don't think they were intending for is making iron so much easier. For real, by the way, I can see from this one meadow biome 2 pillager towers, because pillager towers are much more common in this update as a result of spawning in far more biomes and far more places, and let me tell you why this is so great. Because when you head to a pillager tower, not only do you know you're going to find a pillager raid or a ton of pillagers and their arrow drops, their emeralds, there are all these other, you know, mildly useful things, but the other thing you can almost guarantee is finding one of these. Again, almost guarantee being the cool keyword there. But if you are able to brave the man, I hate pillagers so much. But if you are willing to brave the risk of potentially getting chewed up by a pillager with a crossbow, and my god, do they really chew you up, by the way. But if you're willing to take that tiny little risk, then you can get your hands on some iron quite easily, and again, as long as it's not as obnoxious as this one has been, and as long as you're not using gold weapons because they break like paper, then you too can get your hands on some iron. And even better than that, you don't even need to chop down trees or anything. I mean, it's probably recommended in a Minecraft run, but you can go straight to the crafting tables they provide you, and you can make the bucket from there, should you want to. Did I not get enough iron for a bucket somehow? Oh no, I did. where's the, oh, I'm not in the right, okay, there we go. So now we can make a third bucket, should we want to, but I don't want to. I want to die instead. So, something you should probably be aware of is the fact that not only are stone shores more common, I mean, these are the biome that used to be super rare before this update, now you're going to find them everywhere, they're really handy for finding iron, coal, etc., but also regular beaches got a lot more common as well, just the regular sand beach biome, and the reason that's so notable is because one of these structures which can spawn under these is the buried treasure chest. This means there are now more buried treasure chests under any world generated post 1.18, which means more opportunities to be a nautical sailor and follow maps that never quite work exactly how you want them to, but it's fine, because also in this update they made mesa biomes slightly more common, both via being in a regular form in actual large sizes, going all the way up to mountains, as well as micro mesas, the kind of miniature biomes. And the great thing about these miniature mesas, or really even mesa, is you can have much more access to a block that is called terracotta. I still call it hardened clay because, you know what, it's clay that got hardened, but that's fine, because if you take some of this terracotta, you can now make terracotta structures much easier, but also throw some terracotta in a furnace, and now all of a sudden, it's not just those blocks that have been made much easier, it's also the glazed versions of them. I can't wait to I mean, honestly, you could do this before, but like, it's fun being able to make a ludicrous amount of any of these glazed terracotta blocks, but also, get this right, now because clay is so much more common, it spawns in so many lush caves all over the place, you can also find a huge amount of that and throw a clay into there, and you can make some hardened clay for yourself. Or break the clay blocks with a fist or a non-silk touch shovel, and you'll get some clay as opposed to clay blocks, and you can take those clay regular things, throw them in a furnace, and you'll get this amount of experience, which isn't the hugest amount until you consider just how much of it you can come home with, and then you can smelt all of that clay and get lovely experience, but also lovely bricks, which means you can officially make houses just like mine if you want to. You really shouldn't want to, but it's great that you can anyway, right? You know what else this update has made incredibly useful? That's right, it's boats. Boats are so much more useful than they ever could have been before because of the much wider rivers. I would say though this is basically an intended feature. They made the rivers wider so you can navigate them. However, something they might not have considered is this isn't just fun for the casual player who wants to take their bricks and go to foreign lands where they can find more of those, but also because biomes are much larger now, that also means that cold biomes are much larger, and you know where I'm going with this, right? It can be literally the moment you've spawned into a brand new world that you realize you're in a frozen set of biomes with these new rivers, except they're new rivers that are frozen over because they're in snowy biomes. By the way, look at the size of this, it's ludicrous. And all we need is a little bit of wood. Funnily enough, Minecraft sometimes gives you that. And a little bit of wood will go a long way because now we've already gotten ourselves access to a boat should we want one. And now we take the boat, we ride it immediately onto the ice, and yeah, it's now incredibly OP to explore these biomes and get some serious distance in. But also, here's the other unintended part, besides whatever just happened right there. The other unintended part of this is the fact that you can make really fun boat races, because if we just get out of our boat and hop into creative, because if we examine this exact same river, but from maybe a bird's eye perspective, you can see just how little work it will require to turn this into a ice boating circuit. In fact, you can see, because rivers are deliberately designed to be fun in that way, you can see that, like, yeah, all it takes is a little bit of work, and not only can you travel long distances for, you know, just transportation purposes, but the way more fun part of boating, which is making little circuits and playing with your friends, that is also made much easier by the new terrain generation, which I just love. So as you are probably aware by now, from the lack of bedrock underneath your existing 1.17 worlds, all bedrock from before 1.18 has been replaced with deep slate. This means that at layer 0, you will find an endless line of deep slate anywhere you had previously been, and below that, things start to generate normally, and in some places this looks pretty good. This looks like it's a normal cave, but in some places the cave generation clearly would have gone above 0, but it can't because that's existing chunks, and so you get a brand new type of cave that has never existed before and which you can't get naturally, but I like to call it the flattened cave. It's the very low ceiling cave, where as you can see, it's hard to get around, it's hard to get anything done, but you better believe, in my case, I've got some deep slate lapis lazuli chilling around here. And then also you better believe that we've got access to a ton of weird blocks and access to things that you probably wouldn't think of as normal. Yeah, you can make this into a base, you can use it as just access to resources, or you can do whatever you like with it, but what matters is the fact that it exists, and now you know. While we're down here anyway, I should point out, deep slate generates more and more below Y0 until you hear about Y-8, where the entire thing becomes deep slate. Here is a really fun fact about deep slate. It's meant to be a replacement for stone that is just very slightly harder to mine. I mean, not that it's actually any harder to mine if you just have an efficiency 5 pickaxe, but I digress, let's assume you don't. But the other wonderful thing about deep slate is it replaces all granite, it replaces all andesite, it replaces all diorite, that's right, none of that weird never quartz cobblestone stuff over here, and it also replaces all dirt patches. And so this is really cool because outside of gravel, which apparently still exists, damn it, we had one opportunity, but we missed it. But outside of gravel, which very much does still exist, all you will find around here is mostly deep slate blocks, which means mining down here, doing your excavation techniques, or even just doing your mining, is going to be much easier because you only need one tool now, and it's the pickaxe. So, fun fact. Another quirky little change in this update is they've made the height limit of superflats, instead of the base layer of grass being at Y3, it's now at Y60 instead, which is really interesting because it means that you can fully utilize the height limit all the way down to Y-63, or -64 is where the bedrock is. This is a really, really cool idea, except for the fact that it would have been possible by killing some slimes and making a giant tower up, maybe using the bonus chest for some additional help. It would have been possible to get one of the brand new achievements for falling the entire height limit and surviving. Again, slime blocks could have done that, but Minecraft is no fun and removes your ability to do that. So I'm trying to load up a world in survival. I'm gonna play on the flat world type, but when you turn it to flat, it automatically changes to creative, as well as having the achievement toggle off, which is just really mean if you ask me. I mean, why can I not have both on at the same time? It's not a good idea, but let me make my own mistakes, Minecraft. I'm not mad, I'm just disappointed. And I feel like this would be a really fun idea for some time, right? Like, even though Minecraft doesn't want us playing survival this way, requires us to flip all the settings back and forth, maybe we should try it anyway. I mean, there's absolutely nothing in every direction, so what would we do? How about I find out, huh? By the way, unintended consequence of the new height limit being 320 blocks is now it's significantly easier to make a platform above your spawn and make it next to impossible for someone to survive being on top of here. Obviously, you're gonna have to deal with these rivers, which is a whole extra point. But yeah, you can spawn people a solid 200 something blocks above your terrain right now. And honestly, I do have to say, as much as this is a punishment for people joining my world and daring to think that they can, you know, like just jump right in and start breaking my trees or whatever, I do have to say the biggest unintended consequence of them raising the height limit to 320 is just how much more beautiful they've made stuff like this that you can actually legit do in survival without needing the elytra. It's nuts. Also, pro tip, there's rivers. Anyway, I hope you all enjoyed this video. If you did, don't forget to... Oh, there's a dripstone cave down here. That's handy. Anyway, I hope that you found something useful in this video, in the weird kind of unintended sides of things. I think there's a really interesting argument to be made that, like, actually, because any of these facts were made aware of by developers, or in a lot of cases they program them in, actually, nothing is unintentional. Everything that anyone does is perfectly aligned to be useful towards the universe, and there is a very interesting argument in there that, like, actually, yeah, there is nothing unintentional, you know, there's no mistakes, just happy little accidents. But I would argue that just because it's a happy accident, it doesn't mean it's not an accident. And so as a result, you know, don't feel bad about yourself, because it's true for you too. Just because you're unintentional and everything you're doing right now is a weird result of just someone deciding to have children, it doesn't mean that your actions are any less valid and that, you know, it's not any less wild and confusing. And yeah, just like how lava lakes are much bigger now. Oh, I see now why people were saying that you could get the new achievement by just bringing a strider here. The new lava lakes are so big. There's just so much lava in these. You could do a ludicrous amount of this. See, they brought in a new lava striding achievement that only works on the new terrain. Makes a lot of sense now that I think about it. The way I got the achievement was way messier. Speaking of things that are messy, this ending of this video is not over yet, and so I'll say thank you so much for watching. Be sure to check out some other videos of mine when you're done with this one. I'm not going to tell you which videos, but you know what? Do you like Minecraft? Oh, you don't? Wrong channel for you then. See you next time. Bye.